All right, good afternoon, everybody. I think we'll go ahead and get started. Mr. Cross, let me know that the 5 of you that are on the call, 5 or 6 of you rather, are the ones that RSVP'd. So I want to respect your time. My name is Captain Brown. I am the current class advisor for the students at Graduate Program in Nutrition, and I'm also one of the instructors for the program. So I'm going to walk you through the presentation today. If you have any questions along the way, please speak up. You can use the chat box, but otherwise you can just, feel free to interject and verbally ask a question. Otherwise, we'll leave time for questions at the end, and certainly you can write them down and ask them then. I would like to just share my screen, so I'm going to do that right now so you can see the various slides that we have for you. All right, can you all see my screen? Okay, I got a thumbs up. Wonderful.
Yes.
All right, well, good. Well, welcome. We're so glad to have you join us today. Happy Friday. Today, we're going to talk about the U.S. Military Baylor University Graduate Program in Nutrition. And that is a mouthful. We are a program that is affiliated with the military, and we'll go into that more throughout the presentation. As a student in this program, you are an Army officer, and we get our degrees from Baylor. So it is very much so a partnership. That being said, you really don't do any of your academic time in Waco at Baylor University if you are familiar with that school. All right. So it is a prestigious partnership. When you finish the program, you receive a Master of Science degree in nutrition from Baylor University. And at that time, you are also eligible to sit for the registered dietitian exam. So many of you know, we're going to do introductions here in just a minute, but if you are nutrition students going to a school that has a DPD, then you know that if you go through an internship, that is really the only way that you can sit for that exam to become a registered dietitian. And as we move along here towards 2024, you do have to also have a master's degree in order to sit for that exam. And you will serve as U.S. Army registered dietitians. So we like to say that you are not a dietitian who works for the Army, but you are very much so an Army dietitian, right? It's a profession in and of itself. All right, so here's the agenda for this afternoon. We'll start with introductions. I would like to hear just a little bit about you all joining us, and then we'll let you know who it is from our program that's on the line today. And then we'll walk through these other bullets. All right, so there's no particular order for this, but would someone like to start? State your name, where you are going to school, and what year you'll be graduating, as well as your bachelor's degree.
I guess I'll begin. My name's Julianne Koenigsberg. I attended the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and I recently graduated this May. And I have a degree in nutrition with a concentration in dietetics.
All right, I'll go next. My name's Lexine Guerrero. I am currently attending the University of Alabama. I'll be graduating with my food and nutrition bachelor's degree next year, summer of next year. So.
I can go next. My name is Constance James. I go to the University of Texas State in San Marcos, Texas, and I should be graduating in fall 2021 with my major being nutrition and dietetics. Eat them up.
I can go next. My name is Isis Bello Hernandez. I graduated from Arizona State University in December 2019 with my undergraduate in dietetics.
All right, do we have one more?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Gina Wolf, and I have a bachelor's in exercise physiology from Montana State University, and I'm actually currently also an Army Reserve officer. I'm a 70 Bravo, so I'm a medical services officer.
Wonderful. Okay, so looking to reclass, so to speak, go towards dietitian.
Yes, ma'am. I'm active, or I'm reserved, and I'm looking to go active duty and then also become a dietitian.
Yep, wonderful. All right, did we get everybody?
I believe so, ma'am.
Okay, all right, well, wonderful. Thank you for introducing yourselves. You're from a wide variety of universities. That's great. So I will let Mr. Cross go, and then I'll introduce myself at the end. So go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I am Will Cross. I am the training administrator for the GPN program. I am the person who will help get you guys enrolled within Baylor. I've been here about almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years this coming October. So look forward to working with you all.
All right, and Lieutenant Chandarlis, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, ma'am. So hi, everybody. I'm Second Lieutenant Chandarlis. I'm currently the recruitment officer in the class of 2022. So I'm a student right now. It feels just like yesterday that I was taking the tour. So this is really cool.
All right. And like I said, my name's Captain Brown. I am the class advisor for the current students as well as an instructor. I have been with the program for a year as of this week. And I actually was also on a virtual, well, it wouldn't have been a virtual tour that many years ago, but touring this program about a decade ago and then attending this program for my first 2 years in the Army. And so I have almost 9 years in now. I've had a wide variety of jobs in terms of being an Army dietitian, so I'm happy to answer those questions as well. Everything from clinical to food service to community nutrition, and now back to academics and teaching. So it's wonderful to come full circle, so to speak, and be speaking with you today. All right. So one thing to know about our graduate program, Ascend does not put out information in terms of top ranked schools or top ranked internships, but we do want you to know that our program is a very, very good program. We do consistently hold that 100% first time pass rate for the CDR exam. So not only do we equip you with the academics that you need to pass that exam and the experiential learning, your rotations, but also that study time that helps you successfully pass the exam. And then 100% postgraduate employment. Lieutenant Chandarlis and I might laugh at that bullet. It is absolutely true. Really, you don't have an option. And it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. When you raise your right hand and you become an Army officer, you are obligated to serve for a set number of years. When you go through our program, you are in the program for 2 years. And because of that, or during that time, you do not have to pay for anything. All right. And we'll talk about that more on the coming slides. You actually get a paycheck during the program, which is wonderful. So you get a paycheck and they pay for this whole program for you, the Army. That being said, you'll serve 4 more years of active duty when you graduate from the program. So that's why we say 100% postgraduate employment. Uncle Sam will absolutely use you, and it just is a matter of where. Okay. All right. So when it comes to GPN benefits, full scholarship, and that's exactly what I just said. So you do not pay for anything. You do not pay for classes. You do not pay for housing. You do not pay for food. I mean, all of that is wrapped up in your salary. You also, at this time, get a book stipend. So we help cut the cost of that academic burden. In terms of transportation and getting to the program, as well as movement within the program. If we send you out to different sites for various rotations, the Army pays for all of that movement. And then your pay does increase throughout your career. So you can look up online today, what does a Second Lieutenant Chandarlis make versus a Captain Brown versus a Colonel Cole, who is our program director. You can see all of that. It's not a mystery. It's very much so based on rank. And then as dietitians, there are opportunities for special pay if you decide to move towards those specialty certifications like sports dietetics or nutrition support, variety of them. Okay, but there are a few opportunities for some specialty pay on top of what your base salary is. Other benefits, we do get vacation. So you accrue 2.5 days of leave every month for 30 days of paid vacation every year. And then we do observe holidays. And so we'll often have 3-day weekends or 4-day weekends. Your medical benefits are covered. You get to serve as a U.S. Army officer, which is an amazing privilege, an opportunity. And then our program is very, very good about career development and mentorship. So I would say we have a lot of mentorship opportunities built into the program in and of itself, but then within your first year of graduating GPN, you're entered into a mentorship program. It's very intentional. You meet with a more senior 65 Charlie or Army dietitian once a month, and we talk through professional topics and can answer questions. It just allows you a little more of a personal touch point. Also to grow a relationship and a connection with a more senior Army dietitian. All right, so when we move forward, you all are looking at applying to the program for the class of 2024. At that point, we should be providing an integrated program. I'm not going to speak to those specifics very much so today, all right? But this integrated program will really mean that you'll be at Fort Sam Houston for 2 full years of the program, with options to move out to different installations around the country for specific rotations. And those are being determined as we speak. Again, you are in this program to get a Master's of Science in Nutrition from Baylor University. And all of this training is housed, or our headquarters, you would say, is at the U.S. Army Medical Center of Excellence in San Antonio. Joint Base San Antonio covers several different installations. So if you are familiar with Air Force, there are several Air Force installations in San Antonio, and we are at Fort Sam Houston, which is Air Force owned, but still called Fort Sam Houston. All right, the integrated program is 24 months long. That includes both your didactic and your supervised experiential learning, right? So if you are talking about rotations in school, or you did talk about rotations in school and what that might look like, a 24-month program as it stands now separates the didactic portion from that supervised experiential learning. Moving forward, what we are trying to accomplish and our intention is that we are going to blend those two experiences. So you will not be doing book work and exams and things like that for 9 months straight and then moving to your internship, but rather maybe a few weeks of didactic and then directly applying what you learn in the classroom to actual patient care, or pushing out there into the units, into the field, and applying what you know with the soldiers around you. It is 66 credit hours, and so you can expect classes maybe similar to what you experienced in undergrad in terms of medical nutrition therapy. If any of you took any kind of performance nutrition classes or critical care classes, maybe that was considered advanced nutrition in your curriculums, but also there will be an emphasis on military readiness. So you will have classes on leadership, you will have classes on military readiness. And as I'll show you in a slide moving forward, we are Army dietitians, and so we need to have this more developed understanding of how the Army works as a system, as an institution, as an organization, so that we can best serve the soldiers and those service members that will become your clients or your patients. And you can see here that we have a robust opportunity for that supervised experiential learning. So you'll have over 1,400 hours, or at least 1,400 hours of that SEL. And that will be coordinated with military organizations as well as San Antonio community organizations, so that we can get all the students the experience they need. All right, so here's our current GPN faculty. You will notice if you look at the alphabet soup behind everybody's names that we have several advanced degrees amongst the faculty, but not all the same. So as Army dietitians, one thing that I like to emphasize is we do not have the same routes. We do not have the same passions within nutrition. And I bet if I asked all 5 of you on the line to tell me what you enjoy about nutrition, it could look a little bit different. And that's no different than Lieutenant Chandarlis and his peers right now, or myself and my Army dietitian peers. We all have our niche that we really like. The Army is going to groom our dietitians to be kind of a jack of all trades, and you will move through clinical, community, food service opportunities professionally, but there is certainly time and opportunities to specialize in various things. So performance nutrition is a big focus, I know, for Lieutenant Chandarlis and his peers, but also like myself, I'm a certified nutrition support clinician. So I have really liked working in the hospitals in that critical care population. And so I pursued a different specialty certification. So you'll see even a certified specialist in weight management, that's Major Stone. So you have options. And in terms of precepting, you'll have preceptors for those supervised experiential learning rotations that are both virtual and in person. Okay. Research is another big emphasis of our program. We have 4 courses that are specific to research, whether that's teaching you about research methods, statistics, how to read a research article and really comb through it and understand it well so that you can determine for yourself whether a study is strong or not, and if you want to apply those research findings to your direct care. Because at the end of the day, we as dietitians, Army or not, need to be operating from the foundation of evidence-based care. And then you'll also be conducting your own research while you're in the program. And that's not a research project that you have to dream up on your own. We have several ongoing research projects all the time in Army dietetics. And so you will fall in on somebody else's research project. But Lieutenant Chandarlis can attest to the fact that you do a lot of work on your own too with a research committee to understand the process of research. And that's really our goal, is that you understand the process. These are a few different research topics that we have right now for our studies and that we've used in the past. So if you are familiar at all with Walter Reed Military Medical Center, they do a lot of the trauma amputee research. Some of the other research studies are not necessarily specific to a location or one installation, one military treatment facility in this country, but then nutrition in burn patients is specific to San Antonio because that is where we have our Institute of Surgical Research for the burn ward. All right, so training a military dietitian. So of course we need to have that foundational skills and that meet the scope of practice that the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics publishes. We need to understand medical nutrition therapy. We need to be able to treat patients with heart disease and food allergies and weight management issues. We need to be able to look at our environment and know how to assess it and develop interventions so that we can be improving the nutritional environment. We need to have a good understanding of not just what's going on, in terms of diet plans, meal plans, kind of at the macro level, but we need to know what's going on at the cellular level too when it comes to nutrition. And so you'll have classes in advanced energy metabolism so that you can go back to that biochem understanding. And then food service is a big component of being an Army dietitian. whether that looks like patient room service sometimes in a hospital setting, or field feeding. If you are out in the field for a field exercise, deployment, things like that, how do we feed hundreds, thousands of soldiers with rations? So you'll learn about that. In terms of military basics, that's where we as dietitians, the performance nutrition piece really comes into play, because we know that an infantryman is not the same as a paratrooper, is not the same as maybe a soldier who specializes in signal or military intelligence, or is an Army physician working all day, long hours in the hospital. So we need to understand what these different mission sets require of our soldiers, of our officers and service members. You'll see other services as well. And that way we can best treat them. You will learn about leadership, as I already mentioned. So in addition to being an Army dietitian and doing very specific nutrition work, there are opportunities throughout your career to take command. So if you really like taking care of soldiers and you like that leadership aspect, there are 2-year company command slots, or even other command slots as you promote and rank, to do that. And then understanding nutritional threats on a macro scale too, not just what are some common nutritional threats from, what is society doing in terms of nutrition, but then also in those more remote environments, if somebody is deployed, what do their nutritional options look like? All right, exercise physiology, there's a lot of emphasis on that. So performance nutrition, how do we optimize fueling for our service members so that they can be the best that they can be with the mission that they're given? All right, and that speaks to sports nutrition as well, and optimization. All right, I'm going to hand the mic over to Lieutenant Chandarlis. He's going to talk a little bit about the training that you do right after you commission and before you start your classwork.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So when we first start the program, we have people who come in that have prior service or that are already in the military at the time when they get into the program, or like me, I came in, I had no prior military experience. I was just directly commissioned. And so once we all get together in commission, we get set up here in San Antonio, we get sent to Fort Sill, Oklahoma for our direct commission course. And this is kind of where you learn just like the basics of being in the military and what it means to be a medical officer, kind of. We learn customs and courtesies, you learn things like weapons familiarization, land navigation, and also drill and ceremony, and how the structure of everything works in terms of leadership from the team, squad, platoon, all the way up to company level at that course. So from there, it kind of sets us up to get ready and get familiarized with the military and the Army as a whole. And then we come to basic officer leader course in San Antonio. And so this was really nice because since we're actually stationed here, we get to live at home versus on base right now. Because my direct commission course and basic officer leader course will probably looks a lot different than what yours would look like because of all the COVID protocols we had. So here's where we had classes for 6 weeks on Fort Sam Houston, where we learned everything from, different roles of care in the military to convoys and things like that. And then we had 3 weeks in the field where we applied those things we learned, and then also learned more weapons familiarization. We did night and day land navigation, just a lot of things that are super fun, And another thing I want to say is when we got to the 6-week mark of basic officer leader course, that's where I did my first Army combat fitness test. So that's the kind of physical fitness test that you take in the military to assess where you're at. And so it was the first time I got to do it, and it was really fun. You're with a lot of people, because like at DCC we had 2 platoons, which is like, and then at BOLC we had 6 platoons. So it was just a lot larger and a lot more people. You get to meet people that did ROTC, that other direct commission officers. It's just a mixture of everybody. And both of these courses, I would say, is a great opportunity, not only for you to learn, but to just network within medical professionals in the military and meet people who have kind of the same goals as you in terms of treating soldiers and everything. And that way you can build that base. I'm also going to talk about the typical day here at the GPN. So yeah, about 5 o'clock. If we have PT at 6, if we don't have PT, then I usually get up at 6 or something like that. But I like the days we have PT because it's just, you start the day. I'm kind of a social person, so I like to see everybody. I like to work out, and then you kind of have more energy when you get to that first class at 800. So then from there, we do have classes from about 800, 1600 all day long. This is it's different from undergrad for me, because I feel like in undergrad, I didn't really get that more one-on-one type of learning with the instructors and my classmates really until like my later part of my junior year, my senior year of college. But here it's every day. Your instructors, their main goal is just to make sure that we are learning and we're able to do our jobs. Like, their job is to take care of us, and then our job is to learn. So you really feel that they always assess how we're feeling. They always assess, or tell us that if we have any questions, to please contact them. So something I'd say about the classes is they really work with us to be successful here. Then after class, I kind of give myself an hour or 2, 3, depending on how busy I am that day, just to kind of get everything together, whether it's cleaning my home or grocery shopping or things like that, or, working out. Then I do my homework and then get ready for things that are going to happen the next day or later on during the week. So this is where you get to apply and learn more of that time management part. Of being an adult, I guess, because that's what I had to do and still doing. And so I'm in semester 2 right now. Semester 1 was a really good learning experience, and especially in terms of research and getting familiarized with all the different ways to do it, and all the techniques that we have, and networking with the committee and things like that, and writing styles. So you learn a whole lot, and it's fast, but it's great. It's a great experience. So now in semester 2, it's more the same, but we're applying more in projects and things like that. And then I think the field training in semester 3 is JIFNOC and things like that. And then phase 2, is our internship.
Right. Yep. So just as Lieutenant Chandar was saying, typical day, there really is no typical day in GPN. It definitely fluxes, but this is a good shell to work off of. And then for field training, so after his first year in the program, Lieutenant Chandarlis and his peers will go out to Camp Bullis, which is also located here in San Antonio, and they do a 10-day field exercise. So while they did a field exercise at the end of their basic officer leader course, that was with all of the students at BOLC, variety of backgrounds professionally. This field training is specific to nutrition. And so it's the students from GPN as well as other dietitians in the military. It could be Army, it could be Navy, it could be Air Force that haven't had field experience in a while. They need to come out here and do this training, as well as the enlisted soldiers. So we have nutrition care specialists, or we refer to them as 68 Mikes, 68M. It's just their code that they have in the Army in terms of their profession. They also come out to the field with us, and it really allows us as dietitians to understand, what is our role, but what is the nutrition care specialist role, and how can we work together to achieve our goals and our missions at our various training sites and in the field. And then remote locations just speaks to those rotations that would be outside of Fort Sam. All right. So these are some of the remote locations. We have Madigan Army Medical Center up in Tacoma, Washington, still William Beaumont here in Texas, and then Womack Army Medical Center at Fort Bragg, and we have Walter Reed. Whether that will expand to other installations as well, could not tell you at this point, but there's always an option for that. These are just the 4 that we have established at this current time. So a little more about who our students are and what they look like. Lieutenant Chandarlis was transparent and said he didn't have any military experience before coming in. I did not have any military experience before coming in. So if you were listening to me or to Lieutenant Chandarlis mention any phrases that you have no idea about, like platoon or drill and ceremony or customs and courtesies, please don't worry about that. You will learn all of that. I didn't know who to salute on day 1, and I certainly do now. Okay, so you will learn all of that. That's why you go through that military training when you first come in for those 12 weeks before you start the academics, because we really do need to have a working understanding of how the Army works and some of those soldier skills. 85% come directly from civilian life, but then of course on the call today, we have one person who's already in reserve, a reservist who wants to come active duty. Sometimes we have prospective students who are also active duty officers and or enlisted, and they want to switch. They just want to change maybe their military intelligence or human resources, and they went to school on their own time for nutrition, and now they want to become Army dietitians. So we have some students like that also. Average age would be 23 to 29 years old. Yes, we have a few students right now who are in their 30s, but the average is definitely 20s. And majority of our students right now come in as second lieutenants. We do have a first lieutenant. That is possible. It really depends on what educational experience you come in with already, as well as if you have some military service already accrued, then USAREC, the U.S. Army Recruiting Command, will determine what rank you come into our program as. From an academic standpoint, if you're looking at how you've done in school or how you are doing in school, average competitive GPA is like a 3.72, GRE 306. Y'all can read those. We are a competitive academic program, so these are not the minimums per se, but if you want to be a competitive applicant, I certainly recommend you strive to do your best in academics. If you are already out of school and you are looking to apply, you can certainly go back and retake classes, especially if you've been out of school for a while, in terms of those classes like biochem and anatomy and physiology. That is not information that comes easily to us. Those are hard subjects. And so sometimes we'll have applicants that have, graduated a few years prior, but went back to school to stay relevant, just to keep their head in the game and refresh their memory about some of that subject matter. Okay, eligibility and selection criteria. So in addition to academics, you are applying to the Army because you're becoming an Army officer. So you do have to meet Army requirements beyond doing well in school. So you have to be a US citizen, you have to be under 42 years of age, and you have to meet physical fitness standards. So Lieutenant Chandarlis mentioned the Army Combat Fitness Test. If you are familiar with the Army and what has been talked about for the past few years now is that the Army has transitioned from what we called the Army Physical Fitness Test, which was push-ups, sit-ups, and running, to the Army Combat Fitness Test, which is now deadlifting, push-ups, throwing a 10-pound medicine ball over your head, doing drags, like 90-pound sled drags, pull-ups of sorts, a cardio event, primarily running, unless you have a reason that you would need to do something like rowing or cycling instead. So the test has changed a lot, and that is what we currently train for. It's been a wonderful challenge, I would say, for almost everybody in the force to train for this new combat fitness test. You have to outlift the runner and you have to outrun the lifter. So if you prefer one kind of physical fitness over another, it's really leveling the playing field and helping us to be more well-rounded athletes in our training. You have to have a favorable security investigation. So they'll do a background check. That is a lot of paperwork. So when Mr. Cross talks to you in a minute about applying to the program, we cannot emphasize enough to start early, because it does take quite a bit of time for those background checks to clear. And so we don't want you to miss out on an opportunity to be applying for the program or get into the program because you just didn't leave enough time for those investigations. In terms of academics, you can see here what the minimums are for the GRE and for GPA. All right, Mr. Cross, I'll let you take over here.
Hello again, everyone. Can you hear me? All right, so applying to the program, first and foremost, the first thing you need to do is contact an Army healthcare recruiter. Okay, if you're having a difficult time locating one by this website, please let me know, and then I can contact Army Recruiting Command, and we can try to find one for you. Okay, that is the first process, because it's like Captain Brown mentioned earlier, it takes a long time. The class that will be prior to you guys, they just were notified back in March, April timeframe that they were selected, and they started the process back in June, July of last year. Okay. Again, like I said, contact us through the Baylor website. Once you've contacted your healthcare recruiter, just letting us know that you're interested in our program. For the class of 24, there will not be a die-cast and digital and D&D digital matching. Okay, so we won't be using that process this year for you guys' class. Again, you want to start by the end of your junior year, if you can, and you're going to submit your application at least by mid-October, at the end of your senior year, to allow time for us to correct for any type of deficiencies. Okay, your recruiter will then send your application in December, and the board meets between January and February of the following year. And like I said, everyone is selected by March, April timeframe, and that's when we will let you guys know if you were selected for our program. Again, start the process early. Like I said, it takes about 6 months to do, because you have to do physical exams and security clearances and obtaining the proper documents that you'll need to ensure that you meet Army standards first. Okay, you need to repeat your GRE. Those scores that Captain Brown mentioned earlier. Some people didn't meet those minimums, so you want to apply for class of 24. Okay, you might want to start your GREs this summer. Start trying to take your GREs this summer. Okay, and you have to wait at least 21 days in between tests. I think Captain Brown will speak on what's next.
Yep, absolutely. Definitely leave yourself enough time to take the GRE a second time. I know personally, I can tell you that I do not like those standardized tests and taking them. It's just, I think they're stressful and they're long. And sometimes that first time that you take a test is really a trial run to get used to the formatting of questions and things like that. Of course, you can always study, right? They have plenty of study materials, and you can even take classes to help you prepare for the GRE. But at least if you allow yourself enough time, you can take it once, see how you do, understand your weak spots, and do some additional studying, and then take it again. All right. In terms of other application tips, certainly seek out volunteer opportunities. One of the values of being in the Army is selfless service. So if you imagine, you are signing up, you're commissioning to be an Army officer, you're serving your country. We want to see that service-oriented person in our applicants, and usually we'll look for that volunteer experience. So if you're already volunteering, great. If you're not volunteering currently, what is your passion? How could you volunteer in your local community? And there are certainly opportunities virtually now to volunteer for different organizations, but there should be several opportunities, whether you know about them already or you need to seek them out for your local community. Leadership opportunities. So did you take any leadership opportunities in school? I recognize Mr. Cross spoke to junior year, senior year, but a few of you have already graduated, and that's okay. If you're still in school, are there leadership opportunities yet for you in terms of different organizations and some of your classes? If you are out of school at this point, are you working, and are there leadership opportunities there? Understanding that leadership does not necessarily have to mean that you hold a management position, like a supervisory position, but leadership can be defined in other ways. Are there different initiatives that you are in charge of or that you would like to champion in your local community? And then job opportunities, seeing that work ethic. If you don't currently have a job, certainly we can talk to our applicants about their work ethic, strengths, weaknesses, things like that. So be looking for those. And in terms of jobs, if you are trying to get into the nutrition field, it would only make sense that if you're pursuing some kind of job at this point, try to make it nutrition oriented, whether it's in food service or some kind of clinic work if you can. Okay, selection criteria. Here are a few other items that you would want to take note of. In terms of interest in military service, again, only 15% of those applying to the program have any prior military service. What we want to see when you write your essay for the application, as well as when you do this telephone interview that you see listed at the bottom of the slide, is we want you to articulate, why are you interested in the military, right? Are you interested in our program because none of the other internships you looked at will pay you a salary while you go to school? Okay, that's part of it. But why are you going to be passionate about this population that you will serve for the next 6 years? Okay, so if you don't know much about the military or why you would necessarily be passionate about this population, start doing some work, start Googling military and see what stands out to you. If you want to talk to more military dietitians, whether it's myself or another Army dietitian that has had several assignments to date, to pick our brains a little bit more, that's fine too. I'm happy to connect you with those individuals so you can see what piques your interest more. And then letters of recommendation. So already be thinking about, if you haven't already, who would write those letters of recommendation for you. And you'll certainly want to give them enough heads up. I would say now is not too early if you're applying in the fall, to let those instructors, supervisors, etc., know that you would like a letter of recommendation from them. I think more advanced notice is always appreciated because they're on summer break as well, probably, or gearing up for the next academic year ahead. All right, and I'm not going to read this verbatim to you, but this is a timeline summary of the program, both from the application standpoint and once you are selected and in the program. Again, additional service obligation is 4 years of active duty. All right, and then opportunities post-graduation. I think I've said it a few times now. Army dietitians will work in the clinical sphere, the community or outpatient counseling sphere, as well as food service. Then some Army dietitians go on to really focus in on research. So for instance, our current program director, Colonel Renee Cole, she has really followed this route of research throughout most of her career as an Army dietitian. She did a deployment to Afghanistan where her main focus was to help those on ground, those deployed officers and soldiers over there, start research projects and help them, just work through the details of protocol development, but also implementing those research studies. She received her PhD. So there is opportunity beyond getting your master's from this program to later on go back to school to get a PhD in some aspect of nutrition. That's referred to as long-term health education and training. One of our instructors right now is getting ready to leave us this summer, unfortunately, but fortunately for him, he's going into a 3-year PhD program. So we're very excited for him. And even if you are in a clinical position or a community position, you still have the opportunity to do research. There's certainly a lot of ongoing studies that you can hop on and help with. Performance nutrition, if you have heard of Holistic Health and Fitness Initiative, H2F as it's being called, that is where we are forming pods, multidisciplinary pods of professionals. So your registered dietitian, your Army physical therapist, your Army occupational therapist, providers, athletic trainers, and they're pushing out into the brigades, Army brigades, and we're trying to create better access to our specialties for these soldiers so that we can really help them really, I would say from a prevention standpoint, be as healthy as possible and optimize their performance up front in their training and in executing, we would say, their missions. But also if they were to become injured or anything like that, then this pod, multidisciplinary pod of professionals can help them with that too. That's been a really exciting initiative that has developed over the past several years because we're no longer confined to the clinic space. But if you want to push out into the units, you can now. And then certainly executive leadership opportunities, and those become more and more prevalent as you promote and rank. All right, for more information, please go to our website. If you have any questions, you can certainly access the email address from the website. Also, Facebook and Instagram are good ways to follow us. So if you want to see what the current students are doing, just like Lieutenant Chandarlis is our recruiting officer, we have a social media officer who works with Mr. Cross to try and update our accounts on a regular basis so that the greater Army nutrition world can see what's going on at the schoolhouse, but also so that you, the prospective students, can see what our students are doing right now. So, sometimes there will be pictures on there from a ruck march or what you might refer to as backpacking, which we did this morning, or a hydration lab, which the students also did this morning. I expect to see some pictures maybe from that populate, but it's a fun way to track what the students are up to. All right, so I have done a lot of talking and so has my team. What questions do you all have today for us?
Hi, my name is Isis. I do have a question. You are moving away from DICUS and the D&D, which is where most recommendations would go towards. Now that I'm getting ready to submit those or request those recommendations, what should I ask from them? Do they need to send in like a physical letter or an email?
Mr. Cross, can you speak to that?
Yes, an email to myself will be fine. Like I said, that is just for this coming year for those applicants. We do expect in the future to go back to using D&D and diecast, but that's just for this upcoming year.
Okay.
They can
Thank
email
you.
it to me.
And if you reach out to us individually, we can provide you some more detail about that process.
Thank you.
Yep. Any
There's somebody who put, sorry, there's somebody who put something in the chat. I just didn't know if y'all seen it.
No.
I can answer that. It will not. You're due in January. Good question. So you're due in January. It should not, because we start the class in August of that year. You understand what I'm saying? So it shouldn't be a problem for you to apply. Do you have anything about that, Captain Brown?
I don't foresee that being an issue. I can look into that more though for you, Lexine, and we can get back to you.
I also have a question, I guess, just to clarify specifically, not anything about the program, but so I'm also in the Army National Guard right now. So I have like 2 years left on my current contract. If I were to apply to this, when would like I transition out of this contract and then sign on to this new one, if that made sense? Like August, is that what I'm tracking?
Yeah, so you would
Yes.
transition
Sorry.
in August, to my understanding. Mr. Cross, I don't know if you have other experience with that with our previous reservists or National
Right.
Guard.
It would still be August for you, ma'am. And then depending on how much time you have left. So is your contract up in August, or you said you have 2 years left, right?
Yeah, my ETS is 2023, so I still-
2023.
Mhm.
Okay. And then yeah, you would start the program in August of 2023. So yeah, it will just transition over. We would just add it. Then.
Okay, that makes sense.
It
Thank
could
you.
just impact your active duty service obligations. So while your peers have 4 years left afterwards, you may have an additional year. That would be the logic I'd work out in my head if if you would transition over and you still had time on that other contract, but that may not be the case. I'm
Oh,
definitely not an expert in the recruitment realm, so we can get an answer for you on that though. That's no problem.
okay. Thank you, ma'am.
And what is your background in terms of National Guard right now?
I'm a 92 Golf, so I'm a culinary specialist.
Oh, great.
Mhm.
That's wonderful. So you probably went to school with some of our 68 mics then.
I did actually. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. And so then you would still need to go to basic officer leader course. So we do sometimes have officers who, whether depending on which or regardless of which component they come from, they may not need to go to basic officer leader course and they'll come a little bit later. But since you're transitioning from enlisted to officer, then you would still go to BOLIC.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Well, I will stay on the line for a little bit longer, as will Lieutenant Chandarlis and Mr. Cross. If y'all have any questions, feel free to stick around and ask. If you feel more comfortable emailing us after today and asking questions, please do that as well. But otherwise, have a great weekend, and thanks again for joining us.
Have a great weekend, everyone. It was very nice meeting you all. And I look forward to working with you in the future. Anything that you need as far as the application process, please do not hesitate to let me know. Okay,
Thank you.
All right, let's
see that question?
I saw your question about the Army and paying for your move in terms of the families. So yes, if you have, we say dependents, then yes, the Army would pay for your dependents to move with you. Yeah, just to clarify, so when our students get into the program, if they do have families, the Army will send you orders. It's a very formal document that dictates how you move to Fort Sam Houston. And we just have to make sure that your family is included on that document. So sometimes the Army makes a mistake and does not include dependents on there. And that's okay. We can always do amendments and revise it. But absolutely, everybody would be
All
taken
right.
care of. Yep.
All right, I just wanted to double check. Thank you for answering all my questions. Sorry, I got kids running around in the background. That's why I was on mute most of the time.
That's
But,
all right.
All right,
We
well,
understand.
yeah, thank you. You guys have a great day.
You as well. Thanks.
Ma'am, I am over in El Paso and I am an hour behind you guys, so I joined very late. But I'm currently a first lieutenant over here, and I'm a 19 Alpha, so I'm a tanker, and I spoke with one of our H2F people, and they referred me to this. I was just trying to figure out if there would be any possible way to like transition to this program. My background is a health science degree, so I'm not sure what the next steps would have to be for myself. If you have anything to like recommend or push me towards.
Right. When did you go to school for health sciences?
In 2017 is when I graduated college.
Okay, awesome. And so health sciences, fortunately for you, you didn't go to school specifically for nutrition though, correct?
No, I know there was like, I took one nutrition course, if anything. That was like a requirement, but it was just one course.
Yeah. So fortunately, we did not get into details during the meeting today, but this program that we are transitioning to, or should say the structure that we're transitioning to for the class of 2024, which would be what you're applying for, is not going to require the students to have graduated from a nutrition program. So that is in your favor.
Okay,
right
cool.
now. We can have journalism majors come into our program. We could have dancers come into our program. We could have health sciences come into our program. And that's okay. That's really from an ascend standpoint, not military, an ascend standpoint. I think trying to diversify the field, knowing that, somebody like yourself with a health sciences background could bring a lot to the table in terms of nutrition and just a unique perspective, as could that journalism major, and really contribute to the field in a different way. That being said, there are certain prerequisites that you'll need to have to apply for the program. And again, we didn't include those today in the slides. So we'll just need to do some follow-up offline with you about what that would look like, because you may need to take some additional classes in order to be eligible to apply. And those would look like taking some more nutrition classes. I can tell you off the top of my head, because if you only took one nutrition class in undergrad and you're going to come into a graduate program, we just want to make sure that you have additional experience with nutrition. And I think that helps you really solidify if you want to become a dietitian or not. Right? Yeah. But the nice thing is you have leeway about which nutrition classes you pick. So if you're more into performance nutrition, maybe you can go that route. If you want to learn more about life cycle nutrition, babies through the elderly, you could go that route. And sometimes schools make you take those classes before they'll let you do things like performance or anatomy and physiology, chemistry. So I can work with you. We'll get your contact information. Does Mr. Cross have your contact information already?
Yeah, he's the one that sent me the email about the Zoom meeting, but like I said, I completely didn't even think about timing.
Yeah, that's okay. So we can get you that information so that you can start taking a look at that.
Okay.
And what your options are. But absolutely, you are asking about our program at a really good time, because now we don't have to tell you, go back to school for 4 years and get your nutrition degree.
Yeah.
We can pull you in with the right prerequisites.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So as far as like contact info or anything, ma'am, do you need just like email Mr. Cross?
Yes, sir. Just email me. That's fine. Like how I see you right now is as iPhone guest. Who are you, sir?
Jeremy Uzi, or it might be Jeremiah Uzi.
I got you. Okay, I remember now.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'll work with you offline.
Okay, perfect.
Yep, absolutely. And we went through a slide presentation today. So Mr. Cross, we can even send that to you if you'd like. We really we expanded on the bullets though. You won't see a lot on the slides. And so if you have questions, you can reach back. Do you have any other questions off the top of your head though right now? Lieutenant Chandarlis is one of our current students, and I am one of the instructors and a class advisor.
Honestly, my biggest concern was just trying to find a way to